Welcome everyone. I'm Jason Davis of Techenomics, and today I'm going to explain to you the correct way of taking an oil sample. Let me start with explaining to you who Techenomics are. Techenomics have been performing oil analysis, condition monitoring and fluid management for over 30 years. Techenomics have offices and laboratories strategically placed to assist clients throughout the globe. These laboratories are capable of analysing samples from many different industries, such as mining, civil, power, agricultural, industrial, food, engineering, paper, sea, road, rail, public transport and freight companies. Techenomics provides a diversified range of products and services. To view these, check out our website at www.techenomics.com. Let's kick off this training session on how to take an oil sample by first of all explaining what oil actually does. Oil is designed and blended to keep moving parts separated from each other. The oil helps to reduce friction by separating the contact surfaces. The oil is also used as a heat transfer, carrying the heat created to a sump or similar. It carries away dirt, contaminants and debris. It can be used to transmit power. It protects against wear and corrosion. It also helps seal against gases and contaminants. Safety precautions when sampling. Ensure that you follow your site safety rules, such as wearing hard hat, safety glasses, reflective clothing, steel cap boots, any take 5s or any other measures that are in place. The oil temperature can reach in excess of 100 degrees C. You might spill some oil that can lead to slippery surfaces. You may be working on live equipment. Be aware of pressure. Splashback can cause burns and spillage. So what is needed in order for us to be able to take our sample? Number one, if sampling via the vacuum method, which is what this training session is all about, then you will need a vacuum sample pump. Some rubber tube that's capable of handling excessive temperatures so that it doesn't melt. You will need a clean bottle to put the oil into. You will need a rag to help clean the dipstick and any surrounding surface material. Number two, if live sampling, you will need to know where the live sample points are in order to obtain your sample. This method has extreme pressure and is on live equipment. Therefore, it requires hands-on training. So we will not be covering this in this training seminar. Sampling locations. This is dependent on the equipment we are sampling from. It is not recommended that you get your sample from the drain plug. This is not a representative sample of what is actually happening within the system. This carries all the contaminants and metals that have been sitting around the bottom of the sump for who knows how long. We do not get it from the top of the oil line. This is also not a representative sample, and it won't show us what is being held in suspension. Ideally, we want to try and get our sample from midstream. This carries and identifies all the little microparticles that are floating around in the system. Now, ensure that when you take your sample, the oil is at operating temperature. There is no point taking a sample from cold oil. It will not have the suspended particles that are required to get an accurate representative sample of the current condition of the oil. How to get reliable, consistent results. Sample when the oil is at operating temperature. Clean around the plug or the dipstick. Take the sample from circulating oil or midstream. When pulling the sample, make sure you're using a clean pump, clean bottle, clean fittings and clean hose. If you drop the hose in the dirt, you may want to consider getting a new one. If sampling from the drain is your only choice because you forgot to take your sample, allow the oil to run freely first and ensure it is a representative sample. How to fill out the label. This is highly important that we get this right. It might sound easy, but you'd be surprised how many people get this wrong. Client. We need to know who took the sample, where this sample came from. So put in the details of the company that you work for. We need to, again, we can't specify this highly enough. We need to know where the sample came from. Email. If you do know the person that's meant to receive the report, you can put their email address in. If you're unsure or you don't know, leave it blank. That goes the same for the phone number. If you do know the phone number of the person who's in charge of the samples or who's meant to receive the reports, put that person's phone number down. If you don't know it, then just leave it blank. Plant ID and registration number. This is extremely important. You have to put in the plant number or the rego number or whatever that vehicle or plant or equipment is known by. We need to have that completed. Make and model. This is not so important. We may already have the details of that plant or rego of that truck or something. If you do know the make and model, sure, fill in that part. The date. This is the date the sample was taken. This is important. We need to know that field. So make sure you put in the date. Oil type. If you do know the oil type, by all means put it in. If you don't guess. Just leave it blank. Service meter. This is the hour, odometer, or kilometers on the plant, equipment, car, truck, bus, whatever it is. Make sure you fill in that field. It's highly important that we know the hour meter or kilometers on that plant. Hours and kilometers on oil. If you do know the answer to this, then sure, put it in. If you don't, then please leave it blank. Don't try and guess. Top up liters is the same. If you do know the answer, put it in. If you don't, leave it blank. Changed, yes or no. This means, has the oil been changed? Yes or no. Not unsure. You're either going to change the oil after you've taken your sample, or you're not. So it's a pretty simple question. Just circle either yes or no, or write in the field yes or no. On the right hand side there, it's got a list of generic compartments, whether it be front engine or left engine or hydraulics, transmission, final drives, differentials, whatever. If your compartment is listed there, please tick the correct box. Now if it's not, or it may be a left rear, I don't know, something else, just try and write the details very clear so that we can read it in that blank description box down there. If you do need more room, maybe write it somewhere else on the label, maybe even on the side, anywhere that you can affix it. Welcome everyone, I'm Jason Davis of Techenomics. I'm here today to explain to you and demonstrate on how to take an oil sample. Pay special attention to ensuring that your sample is clean so you get a representative sample, and make sure that the oil is warm or at least at operating temperature before you take your sample. Okay everyone, now don't forget, it's extremely important that when you're taking your oil sample that you get the oil up to operating temperature. So right now we're going to start the engine and let the oil warm up. Once it's up to temperature, then we can turn it off and take our sample. Okay, so what do we need to take an oil sample? Well, first of all, we need an oil sample kit. Okay, so this contains a sample bottle. Okay, nice and clean. Okay, don't leave the lid open. Don't let dirt or contaminants in there. We have a label, and we need to ensure that we fill out this correct and don't lose it. Make sure you affix it to the sample bottle when you're finished. We have some sampling tube. Now this sampling tube is capable of temperatures over 100 degrees, so it won't melt. Don't try and use alternative tubing because it may melt, and it's the last thing you want inside your engine or blocking up your dipstick. And then we have a vacuum pump. Some people might call it a vampire pump, but it's just a pump. Okay. Yeah, let me show you how to take a sample. Okay, so now that we have the oil at the correct operating temperature, now it's time to take our sample. So we just first of all we can start off with the sample tubing. You might want to put your bottle in your pocket, make sure it's clean. Now if you do drop this into the dirt, just throw it away and get a new one. So affix the tubing about yay far through the pump and tighten the handle. Pretty simple. Then we get our bottle, put the lid back in your pocket so you don't lose it. Okay, we're right to go. Okay, so take our dipstick out. Make sure we check the level and also just check there's no fuel dilution or water or whatnot in there. Give it a wipe. Now make sure you keep that clean, make sure it's clean around the edge, don't get anything in there. Keep the dipstick nice and clean. And now as you go down, you start sucking a little bit till you find the oil level, and then make sure you go down a little bit further so you get it midstream. Okay, we don't want to get it from the top and we don't want to get it from the bottom. And this is basically how you do it. Okay, just little pumps, take your time, keep it nice and clean, don't turn the sample pump upside down or to the side, just keep it nice and clean. To break the seal, all you have to do is twist the bottle. There we have it. Okay, so as you can see, so far I have managed to keep the pump very, very clean. See? Keep that tiny white. And you should keep that in a plastic bag, okay, so you don't get contaminants in there. So it's clean, ready to go for the next time. Another little trick. Okay, make sure you dispose of your tubing in a safe, friendly manner. Okay. We've now completed taking our sample. We're going to fill out the label. You'd obviously put down that the oil is going to be changed because that's what's about to happen. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've learned something and good luck. Don't forget to visit our website at www.techenomics.com and like and follow our Facebook page. Thank you.